Okay, are we live? Good. Well, welcome to the June 4th meeting of the Audit Committee. Call the meeting to order. We have we do a couple welcomes first. We welcome Ryan Stacey as the new budget officer to his first meeting of this committee. And Ryan, I think Anne is going to present the April report, correct? Good. Yeah, you're going to be on the spot. So you're under item 4. We look forward to hearing from you, Ryan, along with Sean on the BOE side. We have in the back for my fellow members that the two interns, the great high school internship program, the last 3 weeks, the seniors, they're waving. The last 3 weeks, for anyone who doesn't know, after they finish their APs and all that, they go out and do internships all over town. And you have 2, Gianna, every year? I think that's right. So
that's great.
Learn how town government works. So they're in the back of the room. Right. Yeah. I mean, they're all over. Businesses have them. I mean, New Canaan, Michael Dyden has them. I'm the president of the Land Trust. We have 2 working out in the fields, and they're all over. It's a great program. So welcome you two. And we have one apology, Janet Lanaway. She's in Scotland today. That's her problem. So we have a quorum of 4, so let's get going. So the first item is the approval of the minutes. I recall it was a Zoom meeting on March 26th, which you should have the minutes somewhere. Well, you've got them, and they're up on the website as a draft. They were basically, we approved the January minutes, and then we approved the Cohn-Resnick Master Service Agreement for signature by the first selectman. Any comments on the minutes?
Nope.
Any kind of a vote to approve them?
So moved.
A proposal, so second from Tony. Okay, yes. All in favor? Then, yeah. Just on that, I mean, just for the record, Diana, I know you signed it because I saw something with your signature on it. So we're all set. Yep. Everybody should have a copy.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a copy.
Yep. Everybody. I've sent it to.
Yeah. Everybody. So what this means, you chime in, Bill, if you need to, is that we're now in a position, and it'll be in the new fiscal year, that the internal audit subcommittee can start to consider working with Cohn-Resnick, I guess, in the new fiscal year.
Yep.
Right? But and bring forward proposals. Okay. Good. So that was the main purpose of that meeting. So the 2 things, principal things for this meeting is an update on where we are with the ongoing current internal audit activities with Clifton Larson Allen, CLA, and to review the April reports, 4th of June. So we don't have May reports yet. So April, and then we'll do any other business. So for the internal audit, they've been at work, Lindsay and her team, for some weeks now. So I think the way I've set this up, if let's, Anne, you, Diane, whoever, just tell us where they are. I didn't invite them to attend the meeting. And then Sean, you go, and then Bill, if you, from your side, I know you get, I think it's every 2 weeks, you get a status report from CLA.
Yep. So
you can, from your perspective, just comment on it. Not what they're finding, what they're going to recommend, and maybe you don't even know that yet. But I mean, just what have they done? What are they currently doing? Where are we?
They came into us about 2 months ago, so we gave them all the reports. They had all different reporting structures.
Just come a little closer.
Yep. They had all different reporting items that they wanted. Diane and the team were very diligent, turned around very quickly. Now we're in the stage of they chose what they want to look at. So now we're in the process of pulling all those records. It's a lot of records, I will say,
All the
Diane.
testing.
All the testing right now. So Diane and staff are pulling all those records for them right now. So that's where the town is on everything.
And just as a reminder for everybody, what we're testing really processes. This is not necessarily it's not a financial.
Here's a payment that went out and where's the invoice that matches, not
Right.
that, yeah, it's processes. But so they've made their selections, right?
Yes, they've made their
And they're
selections.
saying this is what we want to look at. You got to pull documents.
All the receipts, the invoices, POs, recs, backup document, whatever it is that they've requested on those particular items.
And that the pulling of the records documents, that's happening now, is it?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Diane, I think that's what you've been working on
Yes.
everything because there's quite a lot of records to pull.
Yeah, okay. So they're not here at the moment. They're waiting,
The town side now.
they're waiting for that,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. But have they been cooperative? I mean, a working relationship?
Oh, no,
how's that
very
been?
good, very good. The interviews actually went better than most of the employees were interviewed. They had various people that they went in and interviewed. So they were surprised. They weren't sure what to expect, but those interviews came out very well. We asked people to just answer what it is they do, don't do, problems, things like that. So the feedback we got was that they went very well. So that was good to hear.
On the interviews, yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's a very good working relationship.
Hmm. Okay.
Did they give you a sense though, when the audit testing will be done?
Not yet, because they're waiting for the records. We're finishing up. We don't want to give them in pieces. We want to give,
Sure.
if this is what you want for P cards, we're going to give you everything at one time as opposed to this month or that month. So we confirmed about, a week ago or so of exactly what they're looking for. Diane sent a sample of everything, said, is this what you're looking for before we start pulling it? They confirmed it. And now Diane and staff are just pulling everything. So how much would you say you're done to date?
Well, some things are completed, like the vendor list. They wanted us, they picked a whole bunch of vendors and said, we need to see the W-9s. We need to see, who approved changing a vendor if they had a new tax ID number, things like that. So that portion's done. We're about halfway done pulling multiple purchase orders and then invoices related to that, because they're looking at, okay, did the invoice come in before that purchase order was in place? So things like that. We're about
Right.
halfway done with that. The P cards is probably the most time consuming because and they're testing items from fiscal year 24. We
Mhm.
have greatly changed the whole purchase card program. We have a new vendor. We went with who the state is using, which is US Bank. It used to be JP Morgan. So in some respects, it's a little disheartening because we're pulling all this data for something that we're not really using anymore. And we manage it differently now. We have much more stronger controls in place. But regardless of that, we're pulling all the receipts which were kept in the JP Morgan system because departments used to upload those. So we have to go and download them all.
Oh, so it's a bit tedious. Yeah.
Right.
Getting through it.
But we're probably halfway through with pulling all of the receipts to match the purchase card statements.
When do they come back? Do you have a date agreed with them or?
They
or
didn't
not?
ask for a
They haven't
specific
asked for a date yet.
date.
Yeah.
Our staff works around check runs. We need certain things. We had somebody on vacation, so we're,
We're hoping within the
It's-
next week or so.
oh, we
we'll be
should have
done, and then they
everything.
have everything.
Might even be this
Yeah.
week. What's today's Wednesday? Probably by Friday.
Questions, Tony?
New system versus a system that doesn't exist. What would be the value of evaluating the process versus the process?
I don't know. We mentioned the whole change in the P card system, but
Upfront.
all the data they pulled.
Evaluating our system, why are they looking at our old system versus what's in place?
I wasn't aware that you'd actually change vendors on this, but
Well,
so.
we had to change because the state got rid of JP Morgan here at the end of calendar year 24.
Okay. Well, we can take this offline.
I mean,
guess.
yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know
do.
the answer.
It's an issue. We should-
Gianna's question, I mean, they can ask, yeah.
Process that's in place, not a new system. They've been giving us recommendations that would be not helpful.
When did you switch over to US Bank?
Well, we changed the process back in November where we actually took back the cards.
Yep.
And we just gave 4 cards out for emergency purposes only. And then January was when Diana started switching over to the state with US Bank.
So they really should be looking at, in a perfect world, January on, right?
Yep.
Okay, I mean, maybe that's something in terms of what they're testing for.
I mean, there may be a reason. Yeah, a good question. I don't think any of us know the answer. You can inquire. Why do we need to look at your last year if we're on a new system? Because
We did ask the question.
what we're concerned about is the current, I mean, I'm sure they've got their reasons, but I don't know the reasons. Mary.
I was just thinking maybe what they were trying to do was ascertain what the process was previously. And then maybe there's going to be follow-up that they would do for January on to see what's changed before they issue, I'll call it quote unquote, recommendations
Could be.
per se.
We'll
You know,
we'll get them to give us.
I mean, I
their-
think that would be appropriate.
Yep.
You know?
I mean, they're very experienced at doing this sort of thing. They probably have I'm sure they have their reasons, but we can find out. Tony, any questions?
I would think that it would be like a bridge going over to the new system. In other words, they're going to be looking at the old and how is the new working versus the old, but there is a gap in between. So it's a good question. I think you should ask.
I don't remember, in the contract, whatever you want to call it, the engagement letter, the billing arrangements. I mean, have they billed? Are they doing progress
Progress
billings?
billing,
and
yeah.
Paying them as they go, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and that's up to date. All right. So, any further questions on the town? Time, so Sean, come up and give us. I mean, it's
Somewhat repetitive.
yeah, but yeah, of course, it would run
Maybe a
how they
little
could. They started with the
late.
town side with the interviews. They finished those, and then they got down. And your interviews were scheduled later, and there were many more of them.
Right.
because
So
I've
we,
not
so,
seen them
so
all.
they were here Tuesday and Thursday of last week. And they interviewed all of our administrators and their assistants who are, typically the ones who enter recs and so on.
Hmm,
Interviewed all of the principals and their assistants.
right.
Everybody in the business office was interviewed. I was interviewed. Brian was interviewed. So it was a very thorough 2 days of interviews, which they felt was very productive. And that they did ask for account details for 2024 and a vendor list, just like in the town.
Hmm.
And they are in the process now of identifying, where they want to grow.
Right. Okay. But they got everyone on that long list got interviewed. That's
They did.
that's up the
They
way.
did. It was really good process. I've worked with them before.
Have you?
They're very good,
Hmm.
very good.
But, okay. Any questions for Sean? Sounds like we're on.
Here I can probably just do the.
Yes.
The only additional comment I'd like to make, and Sean, is not to just point to the schools, but periodically, as Robin indicated, I'll get these bi-weekly updates. And one of the comments was, yeah, we've just got the school purchasing policy. And I said, okay, but remember, this is sort of an end-to-end procure to pay review. So it's going to be vendor management, AP, processing management, P cards, as well as procurement. And I said, now maybe if it's all captured by a procurement policy, there must be SOPs or policies for some of these other steps. And they said, oh yeah, we're going to be asking for that. But so they may be coming back. And again, I'm not trying to pick on the schools in any way, but they may be, I think they said they're going to go back to you to see if there's any additional items.
That's fine.
On that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, as I think both Ann and Sean have said, I think in total between the school and the town, they've had 30 interviews and they've interviewed a total of 40 people. 13 for the town and something like 16 or 17 for the schools, so.
Pretty intensive, yeah. All right, thanks, Sean. So let's stick to the order. So why don't you stay there? Because we're going to move rapidly and we can do the Board of Ed April report first, but let's just cover the independent audit. And I don't know if you want to come up again. So, you know, I invited us, as is typical, the audit partner from PKF gets invited to the meeting. Catherine, the partner, she's at a conference today, so she tendered her apologies, but she wrote to me and said that the planning will be getting underway soon. They will be here from the 25th to start. No, we're still in June, planning the audit, you know, and we'll do their preliminary testing work through the summer. That was her email. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that. I mean, in terms of, yeah.
That's when they come out to us to talk about different things. We've already started it. We got their list.
Yes.
That they have. So Diane again and staff.
Oh, they sent it through. Yeah.
They sent the financials that they want, different documents, all the upfront documents that they want. So like I said, Diane and the staff there have been very responsive of turning that around.
Starting on that.
Yeah. And they have a very, I can't think of the site offhand, but they have a great site that makes it so easy for us to just upload back and forth who has what. It's they changed the process last year and it was very effective in terms of making sure nothing was missed, making sure we could see what we gave them or what they're saying they're missing. And it was so much better, the process last year. So they're doing it again this year.
Sean, have you had a request from, same.
So they reached out about 2 weeks ago, asking for financial reports, and so they have those already. So just waiting for them.
All right, so I said you could go first, so let's go to the April reports. Looking at the highlights, it looks as though we're in decent shape. So
Fund and the Food Services Fund. So as of April 30th, our operating expense actual is 82.9 million, or 75.98% of the full year budget of 109.1. When we look at this point a year ago, we spent 75.92%. So we have a very, very minimal difference. So on an attainment basis, it indicates that we're on track to achieving budget for sure.
Okay.
So on school lunch, revenue through April totals 2,351,000, or 76% of our budget of 3,087,000. And it's a year-to-year decrease in revenue of 3.7%, which is approximately about the same relationship as we reported in the prior month. The decrease year to year primarily due to a shift in what kids are buying. Parents apparently are looking very closely at what their kids are buying. They're making them order hot lunch as opposed to snacks and cookies and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's
a cold winter or something. No. Okay, yeah.
Thing
Yeah.
too is we've had a significant increase in free and reduced
Right.
population. So that's eating into our revenue and profit as well. Expenses through April, 2,175,000, or 76% of the full year budget. And that represents a year-to-year increase of 62,000, or 2.9%, and primarily driven by salaries, dairy purchases, and equipment, and partly offset by reductions in repairs, outsourced services, and kitchen supplies. Despite revenue being down year to year, our net income is currently reflecting a positive 176,205, and that results in our fund balance currently at just over $1 million. And a lot of that fund balance, not a lot of it, but say about 200,000 of that fund balance will be utilized during the summer for walk-in freezers that we're buying for 3 of the schools, 3 elementary schools that are over 20 years old.
If people want to visit the dome, I mean, groups, do they pay for that? Like if you rent an auditorium, you pay for it. I mean, the dome, how does that?
To see something in the dome?
I mean, I want to bring a group.
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
We have a vendor who will be showing videos and shows starting in July.
Right.
It's a company, it's called Mesmerica, and they have shows across the nation Like they show things at Sacred Heart, they've got a dome, planetarium. So it's something that they'll be charging for it, a minimal amount of money, like $3-4 to view these shows. There'll be 4 shows per night. I think the first one starts in July. But if you wanted to see the dome, you just have to request, we can arrange for anybody to come.
So do they pay this company, do they
They do pay us.
they pay for the facility and they charge a minimal amount to people to buy a ticket?
They offered us either a piece of the action, meaning piece of the ticket sales,
Right.
or a flat amount per evening, and they have 4 shows per evening. For a trial period, we just want to see how it goes, and we can switch to piece of the action, but we're going to get the flat. It's about $700 a night in
Which is
in rentals. So we're going to start driving revenue from this, which is great. So we'll see how it goes. It's unbelievable. And we're installing surround sound in July. We're upgrading the software and the hardware, and it's going to be phenomenal. It already is. Well, but it's going to be even better. Very
No,
exciting.
I haven't been yet, but I've part of a group that is going to come. I think it's some date in July. So
The only thing I would warn is don't visit the dome if you're a little bit tired, because the seats recline. It's so calming in there.
Wonderful. Right. Questions for Sean, Mary?
My question just had to do with the free and reduced lunches. Do we get reimbursed from the state for a portion of that?
We don't
None.
participate in National School Lunch.
Okay,
A lot of restrictions associated with participating in National School Lunch.
okay. So we,
And this is why, as Brian says, it's the best restaurant in town.
Yeah.
It's really phenomenal.
that's terrific. Okay, thank you.
Are there any, what's out there potentially with all the changes in Washington that could trickle down from a funding standpoint? 'Cause things go to the
I don't
state.
have a crisp answer for you.
I don't know if you've heard anything on how it might impact local schools. 'Cause, I know,
I mean, I hear probably what you hear.
okay, too soon to tell, I guess.
It really is, really is. So stay tuned.
So I did have one.
Any other
I
questions?
did have one other, this goes back to a stupid question I had several months ago, but so the teachers, we don't withhold for FICA for them, correct?
Correct.
So if
They
I look at
participate in TRB.
employer payroll taxes, is that just non-teachers plus Medicare, or is that effectively
It's everybody except for the teachers.
it's everybody?
Everybody else participates, pays Social Security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
That it?
Yep.
Sean, any questions?
good. No.
You're good?
Yep.
All right. And you're up. We're doing well on time. So you and well, I say Anne, your team. Ryan will talk about, which you should all have April. Right.
We'll do some general fund highlights.
Good.
Starting with revenue if we could. So overall revenue for the year as of the end of April is 175.5 million, which is 103.3% of what we budgeted for the year. So that's the overall picture. Individually, current tax collections are at 101.2% over budget. So that's 159.9 million. Prior year collections are at 1.4, which is 900% of what we expected. The increase the prior year due to interest and lien fees from those 7 accounts that paid their taxes instead of going to auction.
Brian, just to stop you there. So the current year collections are higher than budget. Is that just because typically whatever the percentage is we put in the budget that we expect to collect or not collect, we always seem to exceed that? Is that why we're?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then the prior taxes, as Ryan just mentioned, was the lien sales that we put out there.
Yeah.
Or tax sale.
Yeah, I mean, we get very close to 100. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's go on. Yeah.
Building permit revenue is 1.2 million, which is 136.6% of the 850,000 budget, 219,000 ahead of last year. So there's some big development fees and residential construction that have contributed to that. Conveyance fees, 1.7 million, which is 112.7% of the budget, 431,000 over last year. Again, large fees due to building and transactions. Parking revenue for the year as through April is 936,000. Again, over budget, 106.8%, and also 177,000 ahead of last year's numbers.
Okay,
Interest on investments is 1.8 million, 89% of the 89.5% of the expected budget, but 451,000 over last year's numbers.
That must be because you've got a much bigger cash balance, right? Because of pre-funding or something, because rates are down year over year, right?
Sorry,
Sure, I'm just saying, interest on investments is up quite a bit over the
Oh,
prior
the
year.
budget was,
450 million.
So my question was, there must be a much higher cash balance since rates have gone down year over year.
budget was also different last year, but we also have, yes, we did a bonding in March,
Got
which
reimbursed.
reimbursed the general fund.
Is it, Andrew, are you?
Yes. Hi, I
You
am
want to chime
here.
in there, please?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I was just going to add some flavor to that. We are investing more dollars this year than last year, fiscal year. And the primary reason is what Ann was saying is when we did the bond issuance earlier this year, and that was primarily used to reimburse the town because we've been spending a little over $1 million a month on the police station renovation. And that project is nearly complete, as you all know. But we were paying out of our reserves and then reimbursed ourselves with the latest bond issue. So now we have more cash on hand to go out and invest, even at slightly lower rates than last year. But I will say, really, the rates are only down 25 to 50 basis points over the past 12 months. I know the initial Fed rate cuts last year, began, but then they've been holding pretty steady. And I was able to purchase a number of treasuries with some of our cash that we didn't need to pay immediate bills. So I was buying certain 6-month and even some 12-month treasuries at those elevated rates last year prior to some of those rate cuts. So that hopefully can help explain why our revenues have been good this year.
So just so you know, it's policy, at least we're looking at it, that we bond in arrears. And it was a discussion with Moody's as to, if we like that policy, I think, but Moody's may be taking a different approach, so we're reviewing.
Okay.
Interesting.
You follow up, Bill?
No.
Good. Good answer. All right, that's the interest.
Sure.
Tipping, did you talk about tipping fees? No. No.
It's slightly down from last year, 5.2%, but we're at 281,000 for the year so far, which is 67.8% of the budget. There's a couple other, I didn't put this on the highlight sheet. There's a couple other items. I don't know if you want to look at those on the second page. Board of Ed excess cost grant, and then other revenues. If you have any questions on that, I can give you some detail.
How are we doing with parking permits anyway? Anybody? I mean, primarily the lumberyard lot, is there a waiting list? Or?
We have almost, I think it was 10 names on the list, maybe less.
It's 100% occupancy.
Yeah, well, no, not 100% occupancy. We have 100% gone through the list, or almost we're at the waiting list. So there's still, the problem with getting rid of all the lists so far is that because of the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday commuter days, they're going around and counting available slots to try and see how many more we can release.
Right.
Because it's not a Monday through Friday commuting schedule. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So they're Stacy and her team are evaluating sort of what might be available to continue to release. We're not seeing an oversell. We always oversell the lot anyway, but more people are going back to work 5 days a week, but it's still not pre-COVID level. So
yeah, because
the first time we had a wait.
Okay, yeah, I mean, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, even Monday, it's pretty full there, but Friday, it's 30% maybe, I don't know. We go
But
there.
we have to sell for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So that,
Passes for a full week.
this is, yeah, so it's a lot of thought has to go into, it's a new model, isn't it? Yeah.
And then we have go out with some of the lots, business permits. So that's all happening. Full permit renewal periods.
So I mean, sorry, just out of curiosity more than anything on what we're still on the parking. What about the sort of Elm Street, Park Street lot? Where are we? I know you've got to go at 9:30, so yeah.
So I'm hoping you've heard lots about this because we're
Oh, yeah.
trying to
Oh, well, it
we're
was
trying
on your
to socialize it. So
your campaign
yeah,
promises,
so in last year's budget cycle, we had like 99,000 or something allocated to purchase those iron mics, you know, those individual machines that you can either use credit card or an app.
Yeah.
The plan right now is to install those in July, August. You know, there'll be 7 on Elm Street and 2 on South Avenue, you know, the old Pocket Park area, because that's our property, not the state's. And you know, so, and the plan is to make all of Elm Street paid.
Right.
We will continue to leave those 15-minute spots in Morse Court that are along the sidewalk.
Yep.
Those will continue to be free. And what we're going to do is we're going to transition Park Street, you know, those 2-hour slots all along where the toy store and the, you know, going up towards the church, those will convert to 15-minute free so that people that want to pop in quickly could use those, and they're at either end of Elm Street. But what we're really trying to do is eliminate the circling for parking. Everybody said, can't you put a few 15 minutes? And I said, it will continue to have people searching for 15-minute parking. That's what we're trying to get rid of. So we want people to go. We're going to give the Park Street lot away for free. So we're going to remove the iron mic that exists in the upper Park Street lot. And if you want free parking, you can park up there. In conjunction with that, there is the plan this August to the stairs between Le Pen Quotidien and the movie theater will be converted into a ramp. So that delivery trucks at the top of that ramp in the Park Street area, there'll be a loading zone up there. We're trying to get some of those trucks to go into that loading zone and make deliveries
Great idea.
via the ramp. And then you'll also have that ramp for handicap access and moms with strollers if they're willing to walk. You know, so it's an overall look. And what we constantly say is, this is the initial rollout. We're going to evaluate. It's not going to be a 1-month rollout though. You know, we're going to need to give it time to evaluate. Is it having the, you know, results we're hoping for? And if it's not, we're willing to, you know, adjust and change course. So that's the plan.
Is there more bump out to take place on Elm Street, the sidewalks, or are we kind of done with that
Done
for
now.
now?
So we got, I mean, I think the other thing that people need to understand is that we lost a lot of parking a number of years ago due to an ADA complaint. These bump outs have restored, we've gotten 5 new spaces back by adding those bump outs. I know it seems counterintuitive, but what it is that the hash marking that had to be done for the ADA compliance, by putting in the bump outs, we got more space back and we're still ADA compliant. So, and that's done. So we have no intention of adding more bump outs at this time. I know some people have requested more bump outs for outdoor dining. We are not doing any more bump outs right now.
Not now, anyway, yeah.
Not now. So that's it.
Are we gonna, is there a limit as far as time on the deliveries of the trucks?
You know, I don't,
Yeah, it's just.
I don't know if there is. Like when the Baldor truck.
Restriction.
No.
Is there a restriction, like can they deliver from 8 in the morning to?
Oh, that restriction, no. So the reason we don't do that is, and I know Greenwich does that, is that it would require the merchants to pay staff to be there before they're open to receive those deliveries.
Okay.
And so we're going to see if this helps. I mean, obviously that's a long-term solution if we cannot clear out Elm Street, but we're trying to do an incremental approach to see if we can clear this up a little bit and not have to require our merchants to pay staff to come early to receive deliveries.
Is there a sense that for the early morning folks, I don't know, maybe pre
Oh,
7:45, and I'm thinking
You're not
of-
going to have to pay in the early morning.
I'm thinking of Starbucks.
Yes,
and-
you're not
and
going to have
Dunkin'
to. So we
Donuts.
start, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's,
So the parking department starts at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock with ticketing for,
They go around, do illegal parking starting at
8.
when you handicap stop, but not the time.
okay, so the guy just
Yes,
going in.
you're not going to have to
now going
pay
to
if you're
Starbucks
jumping on
and-
the train.
Okay, that was.
Yeah.
Remember that. then.
Or if
No, I
you do a
was-
super early yoga class,
Yeah,
and you're out of
okay.
there by, before 9 o'clock, you'll be okay. But at 9 o'clock, we'll
Okay.
start
Anyway,
ticketing
yeah,
for,
Okay.
thanks. Now, these are all very good developments, I think.
thank you. If you could help spread the word. Not everyone is equally excited
No,
about
I
it.
know. Well, I mean,
Yes, change is hard.
no, but as you've long said, yeah, that they have the best parking in town free. Where's the logic? I've never seen it
Yes.
in having lived here more than 30 years. It just
3 of my children are economics majors, and we talk about this a lot.
It's a case study.
It's
gonna be
a
Harvard
case study.
Yeah.
So,
All right, thank you for that. So I think that covers income, and there's further other questions. So I'll let Ryan just talk a bit about
I
the
have one question.
one question
On the
more. Right?
building permits. If we didn't have this Burtis and Cherry Street development, would it be on budget?
It would be on budget. Yeah, I pulled the information to find out what it was. Come in,
Interesting.
and it would
So
be on
that's what
budget.
tips it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And secondly, in the building permits, so a developer or homeowner goes in, they get a building permit for X. Is there any follow-up or audit to see if their costs exceeded what the building permit was for? In other words,
Oh, I can't, you're talking about when the building inspectors go
Right.
back out to see, I wouldn't know that offhand. I'd have to get
Okay.
back to you on that.
okay, thank you.
I don't think they ask for invoices and audit that, but I mean, they certainly do regular inspections, and if it's,
Right, to get the CO and,
I mean, these are people in from the building industry. If it's way out, they would know very quickly, and they're on site a lot. But I don't think they audit it as such.
But, just on that point though, the building permit doesn't always include, it's building, it's not the contents. It's not the value of the kitchen equipment or anything like that.
Right.
So,
No,
so
exactly, yeah,
it's totally based on square footage, and what you're doing. So if I'm building something and Tony's building exactly the same square footage, and he chooses to spend $1 million more on his finishes, our building permit is going to be exactly the same.
I can't answer that. I know the way their fee
I'm
structure
pretty
is,
sure
it's
that's
like
what it is.
10 cents per square foot of this. So
You're right.
they have a fee
Having
structure
done
set up.
this, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's where you get, yes.
But if
Because
you,
the assessor, the assessor's gonna
you-
take that permit
If
and
they
look at
know
it.
that.
if you,
They pull all the permits. So if you have a permit, the assessor takes the permit every year. Go.
But you don't permit for the quality of what
No.
you're putting in.
no.
You're only paying, so we would pay the same tax.
Most commercial, yeah.
but they,
The
if
building
you,
permit.
if you
what it
get a
is.
permit for 1,000 square foot addition and you make it 1,200, you're okay,
Oh, yeah.
because they come and measure.
Oh,
you know,
yeah. But it's
Yeah.
about the furnishings
Mhm.
inside. There's a huge differential that you can have. And they don't measure that.
Okay, so let's go to the expenditure.
So last
side.
thing for me is a single line, overall expenses for the year. We're at 137.3 million, which again, adds up the end of April, which is 78.5% of the budgeted amount.
Which, if you say that we're 5, 6, or 83% of the way through the year, if everything was on a month by month the same, it would be a bit under. I know some things are seasonal, of course, but 78%.
Well, there's some items that do spike, like we have debt payment that will come in June. That's
Yeah.
not an annualized one. And we have a couple of, we have the Our number on expenses contains the Board of Ed's one line. Their one line on our budget. So they still have their balloon payment that has to go out the door that happens in June. So there's those spikes that come up right now. We do expect to come under.
Andrew, how much do we have to pay out between now and the end of the month? Do you have any idea?
For interest or for debt?
Are you
Okay.
talking about,
Principal
500,000,
repayments.
about 500,000 was coming out in June. We scheduled, yeah, it's just under four something. Yeah.
Mhm.
but Dan, you would say that the regular run rate is around 12 million a month for all expenses.
Okay.
We're about up to 15 at the moment. Yep.
Right. And as Ann mentioned, the teachers get paid at the start of the summer versus paid out throughout the summer, like every 2 weeks. So there is that balloon payment that adds to our expenses in June. And actually today, so we had $10 million worth of treasuries recently come due. So I'm transferring those proceeds back to the town's checking account. Ann and I, stay in coordination. So she reached out to me late last week saying, hey, we need the 10 million to pay the rest of our bills for June. So that money is arriving today to facilitate payments. So we're good from a liquidity standpoint.
Okay. So the teacher payments that go out in June, not in July.
In June, so they get to choose 21, 22. I'm not sure your schedule. So teachers get to choose that. So they get a balloon payment, so they don't get paid during the summer.
Right.
They get paid in June, and that's it until their payroll starts up again in sometime in August.
Question.
Go
On
ahead.
the tax lien sale that you had,
Mhm.
you had, you said there were 7 accounts that you had, I'll call it contacted to put in to have a sale, and they paid. How many more do we have that are delinquent?
We put out 9, 7, sorry, the way it's looked, we put out 9, 7 paid before the tax sale date. We only had 2 that actually went in the tax sale, and that accumulated just over $6 million between the
And they've
two.
been sold. Have they?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sold, and we got the proceeds to bring, that's why our back taxes are up so high. I can't tell you offhand how many, but you want to know how many properties are.
I just wondered if we did 9 now, how many do we have still that are delinquent that would be ready? I don't want to call it ready, but within the next, call it by the end of December, this calendar year, additional that we could anticipate or think that they're delinquent.
We typically wait 3 years for a tax sale. We haven't done one in a while, but we
Right.
wait till they accumulate up to 3 years to do it. But I'll get you how many are
Yeah,
outstanding.
just-
This is obviously clearing up a large one for
Yeah.
us. I can't remember what our receivables are offhand, but
I
it's
just,
like 1.4, 1.5 on current, and I forget what the previous, but I'll get that information.
that's okay. Thanks.
Ryan, anything else you want to highlight on the expenditure side? Or otherwise, we'll just open it for questions. Questions on expenditure? Bill, anything?
I have questions, but not expenditure related. If you want to wait, I'll wait.
Okay, hold on. Let's see if there's any. I don't look at this, have any. Mary, you've asked
No.
questions on the revenue, anything on the
That's it.
expenditure?
No, nothing that I could see.
I have nothing.
Tony,
No,
okay,
that's
so
it.
I think, we're done with the monthly reports. Item 5 is any other business. I don't know if your questions fall under that or they fall
Yeah,
under
it was
reports.
really for Ben and Ryan. Could how difficult would it be, similar to what the school has done, to include like a cash and investments by month? Like I know for the school, they almost have like, I don't want to call it a mini quasi balance sheet for a lot of the funds, but it would be great to know what's the town's cash balance, what are the investments or short-term investments and anything else. And is that something that could be added to the reports?
By month?
Like a snapshot? Yeah.
One page.
Yeah, if you look at the Board of Ed,
Yeah.
and you probably have to do it for the town, it'd be like the general, and then maybe for some of the funds, I guess, if you keep them separate.
Close to 25 accounts.
Okay,
Not that we've closed a lot, so.
but it would be more of a, I mean, obviously, we don't need to see it by account, but it would almost be like, here for the general operations, here's our cash and investments, here's what it is for some of these key other funds. I think it would be helpful to have. That, yes, if you could add that to these monthly reports, that would be terrific. And then the second question I had and you're gonna love this. So show me which object number is the miscellaneous for the internal audit fees?
It's under finance.
Okay, so let's just,
To go to the expenditure side and you go to page 4. What's called the finance one, if you look at the bottom up, that's where it is. So it's where you're looking middle of the page. It's going to start with 10054117.
yep,
And it's the professional service audit is our external audit, and professional service special audit is the internal audit.
So that's the
oh, so you broke it out, okay,
75,000.
got it.
Right.
Okay, I thought, initially I thought somehow it got rolled into a miscellaneous
So it's
bucket
sim-
that,
Well, it's not anymore.
not anymore, that's good.
That's good.
No, and I know that's,
And remind me what our budget is for next year.
I want to say it's 75 as well. Right?
Do you know?
75, I don't have it off.
Don't know.
Yeah, that's my recollection.
Can you get it to us, if you would, the budget? I mean, we've seen the number and the budget's finalized. I just don't recall. That sounds right.
Yeah, I think that is.
75,000
I
again.
think it is. I'm 99.9%.
And 83 is the PKF budget for PKF, right?
Yep.
83, right, okay. More?
Nope.
Questions?
Good.
Yeah. Any other business you want to raise, Tony?
No, sir.
Harry?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Anything else? So can we have a motion to adjourn? Someone propose a motion to adjourn?
Proposed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.